welcome to the Fandom Show, the podcast where we learn about fantastic fandoms by talking to our favorites about their favorites. I am Kyah Green.
And I am Stephanie Mallet.
And today we are talking about the Star Wars that Star Wars fans seem to love most. It is the Clone Wars.
Nope, I stopped. How did that go so wrong?
It has been less than 30 seconds and you are already on a completely different fandom.
What happened in my mouth and brain?
I think you just had an aneurysm, a fanurism.
Oh! I am obsessed and also embarrassed.
Yeah, that's very fair.
That's Superman.
That's Superman.
How do I not know the Star Wars?
No, I got it. Dun 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 dun. No, wait, that's Harry Potter.
No!
Okay, Steph, this is gonna seem like a hat on a hat. This question now, but what do you know about Clone Wars?
I know nothing.
Yes, that seems really apparent.
I do know Star Wars. I swear I've seen a Star Wars.
That's the one with the space,
That's
right?
They're in space, and they got the triangle ships.
The triangle.
And some of them are little circle
and
ships.
the little X ships.
The little X ships and the Y ships.
Very geometrically shaped ships, now that I think about it.
Yeah, and the stick swords.
Stick swords.
Yeah, light sticks.
I mean, most swords are stick swords, but...
Shut up.
I mean, there's not a lot of round swords, unless we're talking Xeno. Wow, we're really having a fanurism here.
Oh my God. So to go back to your question, what is happening right now? I don't know a lot about it. I watched a couple YouTube videos that were everything you need to know about the Clone Wars in 4 minutes. So I clearly have done a deep dive.
You're an expert now.
On this fandom.
Yeah.
I know about a couple of the characters, and I know that some of them are from the original series, and then we get to see them like in the before times or after times, depending on which part of the saga you're in.
Yep.
I know Asoka is one of the like cool. Our guest is already laughing at me. I've humiliated myself so hard in this opening. It's great. Kyah, what do you know about
You know,
Clone Wars?
hilariously, about the same amount as you, but I don't think I'm making as big a deal out of it.
My brain is melting.
Yeah, I also watched those 4-minute videos, which I'm sure were incomplete in terms
It said
of...
it was everything.
In terms of the emotional impact, anyway. Star Wars is not a thing I know a ton about, as I've said before, but I do appreciate it and love the scope of the universe. And like, I feel like of all the elements of Star Wars, Clone Wars is probably the closest to the thing I would enjoy the most. I've just never watched it, but in terms of like, it seems like the storytelling is so complete and so detailed and stuff, and that's why I've always been very curious about it. And I know that it created a lot of the characters that we're now seeing in the Disney shows and stuff like that. But that's really all I know about it.
Yeah.
And it's animated.
But there's also a Clone War in a movie called Attack of the Clones.
Sure, yes.
So that's something 66.
And I think there's 2 of them. Look, there's lots of things we are going to need to talk to someone about.
Yeah. You know who we are going to talk to about?
I have no idea. Please tell me.
Oh, we're going to talk to Ben Sosa-Wright, who is a twisted, queer, Latinx comedian and writer from Toronto. Ben was named one of CBC's 15 Canadian comics to watch. Woo. His writing has been featured in Reader's Digest, and his podcast, Nostalgique, was named one of Vulture's Comedy Podcasts of the Week. Ben, how are you doing?
I'm screaming.
I know. I watch you like vibrating as we're saying things, and you're like, "It's wrong."
I think I was worried we were going to kill you before
This
we
is
even got
This is
online.
already the best podcast I've ever been a part of. I'm not kidding. Like, I'm vibrating. I feel like I've done drugs. Like, when I need to hear about what these 4-minute YouTube videos have, because I'm so curious.
Okay, well, first of all, we're definitely putting those in our newsletter.
That is so incredible. I loved your pronunciation of Ahsoka. It was just very like A heavy, like Ahsoka, like very like A hyphen.
Yeah, I was like,
Ahsoka.
But I loved.
Ahsoka.
Yeah.
But what I was
18.
laughing at in that moment was you were in a way like you weren't wrong spiritually. You know what I mean? Because Star Wars loves to like have names like that.
They
you know
love
what I mean?
hyphens. They love
Obi-Wan,
apostrophes.
you know what I mean? Like Anakin. Like
Yep.
of course you're putting some sauce on it.
Yeah.
I would never shame you. I would never shame you.
Thank
But
you.
Kai, you were saying something that I so agree with that you already got already. That Clone Wars is, if you're not like into the movies, you might like Clone Wars still. Like you might like the show because the storytelling is it's much more rooted in like what a war, like the actual toll a war would take on like communities. It's very like street level stuff. Like you're going into communities and different planets. It is cool.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
I'm crying. I'm crying.
That's not to say that the original Star Wars was bad, because I will be ripped limb from limb, I feel.
We can say that. Can I say that?
You can say whatever
I'm
you
gonna
want.
say something right now. Like the prequels and like,
the prequels for sure.
some of the prequel. Okay, depending on what mood I'm in, I might be like the prequels are better than the original trilogy.
Oh,
Depending on the mood I'm in, because you rewatch A New Hope and you're like, this is nostalgia core. It's great. It's like the Star Wars we know and love from childhood.
Yeah.
But it's a boring movie.
Yes.
You watch it and you're
So
like,
slow.
It's very dull. As a kid, you're watching it for the first time. You're like, absolutely, this is the coolest shit I've ever seen. But as an adult who's seen a film or two,
maybe some.
maybe some. I was about to say who's seen A Clockwork Orange. I've actually never seen that movie. It was like the first like filmy film I could think of.
Yeah.
But you watch it and you're like, this is fine. Like it's a fine movie. Empire Strikes Back, good. Return of the Jedi, fine. A New Hope, okay. I know it's bad in some circles, but you watch it now and you're like, they were trying. They took risks.
Oh yeah, and you have to watch the original trilogy, remembering this didn't exist. Like
It
all
didn't
of this
exist.
was brand new. They were figuring a lot of stuff out as they went. You know,
a lot
so
of it was racist.
a lot of it was
Yes.
And they
racist.
decided to continue that on into like the 90s, the early 2000s.
Yeah, they did
Absolutely.
maintain that element.
Yeah, they never stopped.
And it's so, even like George Lucas, you could tell he like took one trip to like East Asia and was like, this is science fiction to me. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, it's actually just a country.
Yeah,
it's just like a
country you
different
went to.
place.
Totally. There's so much
Like,
of
yes,
that in
they're
science fiction.
aliens. Everyone here is an alien.
Even like the whole like desert mysticism that
Yeah,
like science fiction movies
totally.
love to do. It's like they went to like one trip to like
Yeah.
Egypt and were like, this changed me.
Yeah, like
And they
very
couldn't- They
Dune.
couldn't let it go. Very Dune.
Very Dune.
They just
very
started,
Blade Runner.
They started doing like really heavy eye coal.
Oh, boy.
Just like
Very that.
Yep.
Very that.
Very
Scarves.
that.
Scarves.
oh,
Scarves.
linen, linen everywhere.
They love linen down there. That's George Lucas in a pitch meeting. Linen. That was.
I'm just picturing on the walls, on the bodies, on the ships, linen.
I'm not convinced this wasn't the pitch.
But here's the thing about Clone Wars. Not George Lucas. The show Clone Wars, Dave Filoni.
Dave Filoni.
Yeah.
Dave Filoni,
Dave
who is
Filoni.
accredited in Star Wars fan circles as like the person who like single-handedly saved Star Wars.
I have
We'll say that.
I have heard
Huge.
that. Truly, some of our patrons and our fans were talking about that online.
Yes.
It's just like he is the reason.
Which is so crazy because the movie that started the Clone Wars show, not the Clone Wars Attack of the Clones, like the Clone Wars animated film, because I don't know if you guys know, there was an animated film
Okay.
that was released in theaters, and it was the first like Star Wars animated property, Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
Is that the Gendy Tartakovsky one, or is that a different show?
Oh,
Because there's like, okay, so there's so many different Clone Wars. I was trying to do research about this.
Yes.
I'm just jumping into my question. Because there's the Clone Wars animated series 2003.
So that one is different.
Okay.
That's from like the team who did like Samurai Jack, I believe. And like that was on Cartoon Network. Some, I would say, also some of the best Star Wars stuff ever made.
Really?
It's so good. The
Damn.
animation style, it's very like, the episodes are like small little vignettes. And they're often not super plot heavy. It's just like, oh, here's like a really cool battle. Here's like Mace Windu like having to kill like all these droids on a planet. And it's like a 5-minute episode. And it's just him like killing droids the whole time.
Okay.
And it's just really, really stunning animation.
Okay.
And I think that spurred the appetite for more Clone Wars content. Because the Clone Wars in, oh my God, I'm tweaking. I'm turning into like a man before you're, like I'm literally, in moments like this, I'm like, oh, you are a cis man. You know what I mean? Like I navigate these queer space, but it's like, no, mama, you're a man. You know what I mean? Like,
when you're talking about Star Wars,
when
you know?
like my father's coming out. You see like my claws like are like burying themselves on the table.
You just suddenly are holding a baseball and you
Your
don't know why.
beard just fills
My
right
beard
out,
fills
and now
up.
it's long and
I
bushy.
start like getting mean. I get meaner. I'm correcting you guys.
Actually, that's not the
Actually.
theme song to Star Wars.
Actually, here's why you're.
Well,
Yeah.
to be fair,
No,
it
that's
isn't.
right. That's right.
But this is all to say, oh, and I'm crying already, is that spurred the appetite for like Clone Wars content because the Clone Wars in the original trilogy is like this kind of mythological event. Like, you just hear about the Clone Wars the whole time. Like, Obi-Wan mentions it, like, I think once in A New Hope.
Right.
And then you're like, oh, the Clone Wars, that must have been cool. And then when they finally give it to you in Attack of the Clones, it's really underwhelming because you're like, oh, this is like kind of lame.
Yeah, that's
Oh my
it.
God.
Eh?
When I watched it in theaters, the Order 66, I was like, this is incredible. Like, I thought the movie was incredible.
Order 66 is incredible. And that's, oh my God.
And just for our listeners, what is that again?
Oh my God. So Order 66 is the cataclysmic event that brought down the fall of the Galactic Republic. It's when Chancellor Palpatine, Darth Sidious, took control, and embedded in all the clones was this like secret order, Order 66. And that just essentially meant once you got that order, you're killing all the Jedi.
That's dope. That's very cool.
And then you get one of the most haunting sequences, which is like all these kind of like pseudo famous Jedis that you've seen throughout the prequels getting slaughtered by all these clones. It's so sad. And what's great about the Clone Wars show is then you get to see all these Jedis have like storylines later on. So you're seeing
And you know what's going to happen to them?
and you know it, and it's tragic. And it's tragic because like I'm thinking of, who's a good example? You're thinking of like Kit Fisto, you know what I mean? Or Cat-Eye Mundi, these like crazy, like cool Jedis that you see in the Jedi Temple and are kind of just around. And you only know their names if you're like a super fan, like looking up the wiki. But then you watch the Clone Wars and you're like, okay, they have personalities, they have lives. Ooh. Shakti, the first, oh my God, I'm forgetting the alien species that Asoka is. Your fans are going to hate me. But she's the first like version of that alien that we ever saw. And then Ahsoka's like kind of a spin-off of her.
Okay.
Like character design.
Because I remember seeing that character with the like long
Yeah.
tendril blue and white.
Yes.
Because I know, like, also in Knights of the Old Republic, the video game, there were some of those species whose the name is also
This is so bugging me that I'm forgetting the name.
Keep talking. I'm looking it up.
Me. I always want to say
we don't do that
Twi'lek, but
here.
Twi'leks are like the aliens with like the long tendrils, and like they're always like the hot babes.
Yeah.
Togrutas,
Oh, see, I wouldn't have gotten there.
a sentient humanoid species notable for their vibrant colored skin, montrals, which are horn-like sensory organs, and leku, or head tails.
Yes. And what I loved about Ahsoka is she was a Padawan, so of course she needs a little braid. But she has these like tendrils, so she can't grow human hair. So she had like a cute little like beady braid.
Oh, fun.
And the sound
It's
design
like
was
an extension.
like an extension. That you get it, and she did get it at Claire's.
Absolutely.
Ahsoka went to Claire's, and she was.
That
and they
is
were
canon.
That's canon. So it's canon. She went to Claire's on Naboo.
Is Claire specific to Ontario? Is that an Ontario thing?
It's all across the galaxy.
Oh, love
Even
that.
a long, long time ago.
Love that.
Because Ahsoka went, and like they were like, "What do you want, Ahsoka?" And she's like, "Actually, I'm not here for fun. I'm here for work. Like I need this for work. This is not a treat of an extension." And they took it really
Serious.
seriously.
Yeah, actually,
Serious?
Claire's is where Padme also gets all of her headpieces.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the thing that made me gay, by the way,
Oh,
seeing Padme's character design,
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
Her hair,
That makes
the
sense.
makeup.
Yeah, you got to watch out what you
Yes.
watch because it will make you gay.
It will. Keira
Yeah.
Knightley getting killed in that movie.
Totally how it
Keira
works.
Knightley killed in The Phantom Menace, by the way.
oh yes, because she was Natalie Portman Stendon.
And her and
right.
Sophia Coppola.
What?
Her and Sophia Coppola.
What?
Sophia Coppola's in the movie.
Yes. Sophia Coppola, and I think she dies. No, she doesn't die. But Sophia Coppola's there.
This is wild new
Sophia
information.
Coppola's there in a gorgeous orange hood.
Oh my god.
What?
Francis Ford Coppola said, "Baby girl, you can take a day off school. Go to set. And she did.
And
What
Nick
a
Cage was
life.
just dying in the corner, being like, "I'm also related to you. Put me in." And
Is
he's
he
like,
related
"No." Yes, I believe Francis Ford Coppola is his uncle.
Yeah.
What? So, I'm
Yeah.
getting tactile. I'm getting tactile. That isn't good. I did not know that.
Yeah.
See, I don't like knowing stuff like that. Because then it makes Hollywood feel so like impenetrable
Insular?
at that point. Because like
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
celebrity, even like a kind of a D tier celebrity, you'll be like, well, like their mom's like a famous costume designer. Keanu Reeves.
yeah.
Mom's famous.
I mean, honestly, Luke and Leia, nepo babies.
Whoa.
Hadn't thought about that, but you're not wrong.
But it makes a stunning case for nepotism as a form of nature versus nurture, where nepotism is nurture. Because Luke was not given the same opportunities as Leia.
No.
Yeah.
And
He
Leia
was sent to a desert and
he was sent
beautiful,
to
exotic
Tatooine,
desert.
2 sons, killing rats in his spare time, psychopath style.
Yeah.
By the way.
I mean,
Not
he doesn't
wrong.
turn out
and
great.
Princess Leia was
have a
a
Sith dad.
princess in
Yeah.
a gorgeous little planet. It's
true.
That got destroyed.
Oh, so sad.
And her dad was hot.
He was hot.
Adoptive father. Of course that means father. Of course.
Yeah, it's true.
The asterisk is just there so fans don't get confused.
Okay, so we talked a bit about the 2003 Clone Wars,
Yes.
and then the 2008 The Clone Wars. That's the Filoni.
That's the Filoni.
That's the one we're mainly talking about.
That's the one we're mainly talking about
Okay.
here. And there was a movie first that Dave Filoni made. Horrible movie. Horrible movie.
Interesting.
To the point where, like, when they revealed they're making a show based off this movie, no one was excited.
Everyone was like, boo.
Everyone was like, why? We hated the animation. The voice acting was really bad. People hated Asoka, by the way.
Oh.
Which is so funny because now Asoka's, like, beloved.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
she's got her own show.
She's got her own well,
Okay.
well, she
We'll
does.
come around to that.
We'll come around.
Yeah.
She does have her own
But
show.
she's
We'll put a
incredible.
pin in that
Her
one.
as like a character, people are obsessed with.
Okay.
People love Asoka, but at the time of her genesis, people hated her. And then when they made the show, people were like, "Why are you making the show off this property we hated?" But then the first season of the show, kind of bad.
Okay.
Until we got to the final episode of that show. Okay.
Ooh, okay.
Where this character, do you know about Cad Bane?
No.
I heard the name. Explain that.
I've seen the face in the 4-minute video.
Blue
Okay.
Blue.
hat.
Blue and hat.
Kinda
Oh, wait.
giving-
Bounty Hunter.
Kyah. Okay.
I did some research. I listened to a video or two.
And now I'm truly turning into a manual of science fiction because now I'm attracted to Kyah. Now I'm like fully like, I'm like, they know about Star Wars. I'm like, we're going. This is a date. Like,
This is so easy.
this is so easy.
Take notes, anybody who wants to be dating Ben.
Truly. But Cad Bane, bounty hunter,
Okay.
and then that they kind of touch on like these ancillary like aspects of Star Wars of like the underground seedy kind of like crime stuff that we get like here and there in the Star Wars movies, but it's never the main focus.
Yes.
Then we got like this whole thing about like these cool bounty hunters. He was a cool character. He said the word "damn"
Gasp.
in a children's show, and I remember as a little boy watching that, being like, "He's not allowed to say that." But I loved
bad
it. But I
guy.
loved it, and I loved it, and I didn't tell
it
my
again.
parents. I
Say
didn't
it
tell my
again.
parents. Say it again, and he kind of comes back. Cad Bane.
Okay.
But do you remember? I'm all over the place.
No, I
but
love this.
everything has a beginning.
Yes.
The bounty hunters in Empire Strikes Back,
Mm-hmm.
or sorry, yeah, at the end of Empire Strikes Back, that capturing Han Solo.
Yes.
That was like a big moment for Star Wars nerds because we love all those bounty hunters. Like, oh, they're so cool, and it's a great moment to get little kind of introductions to different alien species and different character designs, and that's always fun in science fiction. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
oh,
To
yeah.
get like a cool, freaky alien, but then we never get any backstory with them. You know what I mean? You get lore online, or you get like weird book
Or
spin-offs.
the comics.
Yeah.
Or comics, but it's like you really have to dig for that stuff. But Clone Wars at that moment decided like, oh, our mandate here is going to be like introducing these weird side characters and weird planets that you might have heard of, and we're going to give them like background and detail and really like a
Fun.
build it out.
Yeah,
you know
which
what I mean?
is such a fun part of any kind of fantasy or sci-fi
Yes.
is like the world building. That's
Yes.
half of what you want to see. Is just like
all
build
you
this
want.
world out.
Yes, especially for like a thing like the Clone Wars, where it's like, oh, this war, this sprawling across the galaxy. It's like, well, show me the galaxy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
totally.
show me the planet, show me the people being
Yeah.
affected.
And like it's one of the things that always frustrated me about Star Wars. Not that I don't love Luke and Leia, but like it was always about the Skywalkers, and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
it's a gigantic galaxy. Show me other things.
yes, and
know?
that's why the shows people love.
Yeah.
Like Andor, great Star Wars.
Andor
show.
was
I fucking
incredible.
love Andor.
Oh,
We
I
see-
have full body chills. One of the best Star Wars things ever made.
Because
it
they
was
so
incredible.
threw out the like, we have to pay
Yes.
homage to this family and these stories
Yeah.
created. They're like, no, we're going to
Absolutely
tell a
not.
small
Yeah.
story about this
Yes.
small planet that is dealing with big problems.
Yeah.
Yes, so
So
topical.
good.
The show is so topical.
It is. It was like, oh man, you just
Yeah.
feel shit in that show.
Well, like they're literally like the show. Like, I mean, spoiler alert. Like halfway through the season, it becomes about like abusing prisoners or like truly like slave labor in prisons. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It becomes,
Yeah.
and I'm like, that's happening right
Right
now.
now, let's
Everyone.
take notes.
It's
Yeah.
so crazy.
Remember
and I'm like,
how
kids
this
are
makes
watching
you
this.
feel? Maybe you turn that gaze outwards.
Yeah, and that's when sci-fi is at its absolute best.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
That's when that's like the best Star Trek stuff, the best Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
It's when it becomes about like a microcosm for like what's happening now. Instead
Yeah.
of like good versus evil. You
Totally.
know what I mean? It's like,
Yes.
no, like make it about fascism.
Yeah,
Like
totally.
the Empire is a fascist government.
That's the
Yeah.
whole point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
There's a really good episode of a podcast about fascism in Star Wars. It's a podcast called Imaginary Worlds. Would recommend checking that out.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Anyway, yeah. Okay. So
I love you guys taking notes. Like throughout this, I feel like this is a deposition. I love
He
it.
said fascism. Writing that down.
fascism. Okay, but coming back.
Googling how to spell fascism. S or C first.
If one of
No
us were trying to
knows.
define fascism, what would we say?
Okay, but coming back around to the Clone Wars.
Yes.
Just take a step back. When did you get into the Clone Wars?
Oh my god. Oh my God.
Like, what's your origin
I start
story
crying
with
again. Let's take a break.
Cry all you want, babe.
You have to walk me back to set. I'm like, there's like a raw footage of like black and white grainy, both of you holding my elbows. Like, come on, come on.
We got this.
My dad introduced like Star Wars to me and my brother at a young age, and like classic dad style, like you watch like the original trilogy first and then the prequels, and then when we were in middle school, that's when the first Clone Wars like animated thing came out, like the Dave Filoni movie.
So you were right in the pocket.
We
for
were
that.
right in the pocket, and I think we were like in grade, I want to say like 5 or 6, so like really perfect age for that.
Yeah.
Hated it, by the way. The three of us walked away so disappointed. We're like, that was
yeah.
like bad, and we were all like, oh, how sad. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
The
weird being a kid the first time you're like, well, that wasn't good.
Yes.
I thought all movies were good.
My first experience with that, the Polar Express.
Oh, yeah, that's a solid one.
Because the
for that.
animation scared me.
Yeah,
And
it's Uncanny Valley.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
Uncanny Valley.
Uncanny Valley, and I hated that little boy's energy.
Yeah.
You're on the Polar Express and you're still a skeptic. It's like at that point I'm like, you've got me. Like I believe in Santa again.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
put me on a magic train.
You put me on a magic train.
Even as an adult, I'd be like, yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know?
But I hated that film.
Yeah.
And but then the show came out and we were like, let's give it a shot. And then the show was so good. So I want to say like middle school age was when I got
Okay.
really into Clone Wars. And then it kept going through at high school and it just got better and better and became like matured as well. It became more of an adult series.
I love when that happens.
Yeah, and like when you're like 15, 16 and you feel like you're watching something a bit more prestige, like you're really soaking it up. Like I remember
Yeah.
being like, well, this is HBO. Like you have The
He said,
Wire, The
"Damn."
Sopranos, and Star Wars, The Clone Wars. Like,
yeah.
of course.
Yeah. The three big tentpole properties of HBO.
Game of Thrones found dead.
Yeah.
Clone Wars replacing it.
Oh my God. If there were a Clone Wars show like HBO style, would you lose your shit for that?
Oh,
Like a gritty,
yes.
sexy.
Yes, I'd say though, like Andor is that. Like
Yeah.
if they did Andor, like if they did a Clone Wars, a live action Clone Wars series with the same tone as Andor, I would, sorry to be crude, come everywhere.
I for some reason knew you were gonna say
No, I think we all did.
I
felt
would-
it coming.
And me and every Star Wars fan, like truly,
Yeah.
the streets of every city. would be- truly,
slip
like
and
I
slide.
like anyone who can produce, come.
Yeah.
But I really, that would be amazing. Like that would be like to see like, oh my God, like a live action show set in like Camino with the clones, like about their training. I've always been so curious about that.
Oh, fun.
I'm pitching.
I love this.
I bet
For
there's
whoever's
so
listening.
many. I bet there's
Filoni, are you
Filoni.
listening?
Hey.
We know you're listening.
I think Filoni officially is like the new George Lucas of Skywalker Ranch.
Thank God it's somebody else.
Yeah.
Right, because
He
like
sucks.
from what I understand, yeah, I think we all know that George Lucas is very much a visionary, but not a writer.
Yes, totally.
If that's fair to say.
I think that's fair to say, for
because
sure.
I think there is some. We can all agree that there's some bad dialogue and choices in some
Hold
of
me
the
like you
films.
did by the lake on Naboo.
I hate sand.
God.
So okay.
Anakin, you're breaking my heart.
Oh my God.
God.
So good.
So it seems like this was the first chance for somebody who is truly like a real writer who really thinks in story
Yeah.
to tackle the Star Wars universe. Is that fair to say?
I think that's so fair to say. I think that is fair trade.
You cannot see this, but they're absolutely hitting on each other.
We're hitting on
Stop. What?
the sparks are flying. No, absolutely, because Dave Filoni was also like a Star Wars super fan.
Yeah.
So I think he took all the pieces and was like, okay, like let's turn this into a real story. Let's
Yeah.
create cool characters. Let's really like get into it. And I don't think George Lucas ever cared about like saying anything with Star Wars. I think he wanted to like make Ewoks and like
Look
Yeah.
at my
have, like,
aliens.
exactly, which is like you need elements of that in any science fiction franchise, but you need like depth if you're gonna like make it like last. I feel like,
'Cause
and the
we want to
yeah.
live in this world and feel emotional about this
Totally.
world and like attached.
And like we want to like we want it to feel like refreshing and new. Like we don't
Yeah.
want to like revisit. I think that's why the new Legacy trilogy people are so mixed about, because like they were fighting. It was like everyone was trying to add new stuff, but then people were trying to like still make it nostalgic. And it's like just commit to like one or the other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Don't just remake the original episodes
Yes.
4, 5, and 6, which is what they felt like.
That's
Yeah,
what they felt like.
it's what
Except
they
The
felt
Last Jedi. The Last Jedi, I think they really were like, we will.
Yeah.
Something a little bit different.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But what I love about the Clone Wars is they were like, we'll introduce all these new characters, and not in like a one-off, like, because the movies love to be like, here's this cool character, and you get like one scene with them, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, thank you for telling
Bye.
me.
Yeah.
But then Clone Wars were like, no, we'll give you like like this like royal figure in like the Mandalorian planet, Mandalore is what it's called, and get like, her name's Duchess Satine, by the way, romantic love interest of Obi-Wan Kenobi. You ever thought that he would actually be falling in love? Because he did, by the way.
I feel like all the Jedi.
They never fucked. It was so clear.
Why do I feel like something tragic happened to her?
Of course she died. Of course she died.
Well,
oh my God.
I guess it's interesting.
Of course, and it is tragic. The Siege of Mandalore, one of the best episodes of television ever made.
Ooh.
You have to understand, you know how we love, Pedro Pascal, Baby Yoda, Grogu, Mandalore. That would have never had existed had we not gotten the original Mandalore episodes in Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
Whoa.
No one even cared about the Mandalorians until then. No one did, bitch. And what you have to understand, that Star Wars fans, and I get so mad because people think, and I'm not saying anyone here, but people think, you're a Mandalorian, you keep your helmet on the whole time. Do we think that?
Yes, I think many people think that.
Only if you're an extremist.
Oh,
Is that right?
Only, but the majority of Mandalore, and those people, they don't even live on Mandalore. They're living on a moon outside because they're extremists. And John Favreau is in charge of them because he voiced John Favreau. And John Favreau like wrote and directed a lot of those episodes and then voiced one of the mean, evil Mandalorians. And they're evil. And they're called they're Night Watch. Are they Night Watch? Your fans will get upset with me. I think they're Night Watch. It's been a minute. But they're kind of the evil, like, extremists, and then Duchess Satine, they're all kind of normal. They only put their helmets on if they're gonna fly. But other than that, they're just kind of chilling. But the history of Mandalore, oh my God, I'm still tweaking, and I'm so, listeners have to know, both Kyah and Steph averted eye contact from me, and at one point, no, it's okay, but I was truly just babbling into the distance.
No, I like it. I was actually just checking.
I felt ashamed.
I was just checking a name. I was just checking a name because Bo-Katan, right, was created. Is
absolutely
like that. This is
absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
And they have it's a big thing with the knight with the big dark sword. But what you have to understand the history of Mandalore is they were fierce warriors thousands of years ago.
Like Spartan vibes?
Well, yes, I think so.
Yeah.
I'd say like Spartan vibes, and this is like old Republic vibes. They would always be fighting with Jedi.
Okay.
And their armor was invented to fight Jedi. Like the reason why their culture has centuries and centuries of armor is because they were like, we aren't strong enough because we don't have the Force. We have to make all this armor. So all their tools and gadgets. Oh my God, I'm abusing the mic. All their tools and gadgets are meant to like mimic Jedi tools. Like their grappling hooks kind of like mimic the Force. And they're able to like have their jetpacks so they could be flying and soaring like the Jedi can.
And that's why the sorry, it's escaping me. The metal is so important because
I'm forgetting the name of the metal too. But the metal is very important.
Beskar, yes.
Oh my.
Well done, Steph.
She knows some stuff.
That's incredible.
That's what the ring is made out of, right?
That's what the ring is.
Yes. Ba, 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 ba.
I'll immediately start crying. I mean, for real.
But that's, I guess, why Beskar was so important because that is.
Yes, because it could it's like almost like lightsaber proof. Like
exactly.
They slashed up.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Mandalorians and Jedi hate each other.
Why does everyone hate the Jedis? Everyone seems pissy about the Jedi.
Because they're space cops, Steph.
That's the thing.
ACAB.
Oh my! I'm getting full body chills. Because what the Clone Wars talks about a lot. Oh my God! And we have to talk about the episode where Asoka actually leaves the Jedi Order.
Yes,
by the way,
I did hear
because she's framed for terrorism.
Gasp.
And who really did it? Barriss Offee, her friend.
Oh my God!
Imagine your friend frames you for terrorism.
No.
I don't have to because it happens to me all the time. In the world of stand-up comedy. It happens to me all the time.
Name names.
But this is all to say that in the Clone Wars, they really talk about the Jedis as like not like in the original movies were like, oh, they're good. You know what I mean? If you're a Jedi, it just means you're a good guy. You want good things to happen. You almost giving like the shaman, like Buddhist-like quality of like, I'm at peace, I'm at one. But the Clone Wars really talk about that as just like a veneer for what really is just like a colonial project. Like the Jedi just kind of like assert themselves in like every like galaxy planet and just kind of like rule it essentially.
Yeah.
And lots of people don't fuck with the Jedi. There's lots of people who are like not like Sith or dark-sided, but are like Jedi are bad. And it's like because they're cops. Like they're essentially cops. They're peacekeepers. You know what I mean? Big air quotes for peacekeepers. But Ahsoka Tano leaves the Jedi Order because she's already seeing flaws. And get this.
I'll get it.
The Clone Wars, antithetical to what it means to be a Jedi. Jedis were never meant to be generals and like pick up arms. The Clone Wars, that's like, people think Order 66 brought forth the fall of the Jedi. No, mama. It was the moment Jedis were like, we have to be generals in a war. That's when like the Jedi Order as a concept crumbled before us. Because like they were supposed to be these like impartial, almost like religious type figures to like give people guidance and just like guide people towards the light or whatever.
Yeah.
But in that moment they were like, no, we are gonna have a political agenda.
We're a military force.
We're a military force. And Ahsoka, the more she kind of grew in her Jedi journey, was like, why are we doing this? You know what I mean? And there are lots of episodes that kind of talk about like the banality of war and evil and just like how like even if you're a clone, like you still have to do bad stuff. Even if you're like fighting for the separatists, you still have to like it's all complicated.
That's wild for a ostensibly
a children's
kids show.
Absolutely.
To be like, hey kids, let's talk about the horrors of war.
Yes.
Like that's bold. That's bold.
It
and
is
it's
very bold.
a very hard line to walk to be like, we're making a kids show, but we're also going to explore these like bigger, deeper themes.
Yes.
That's hard.
There's one episode about a clone deserter. I'll never forget it. He was a deserter and he was like, I left the war because I did not want to fight anymore. Why were we bred for this? And his clone brethren found him and were like, we're going to let you live your life on the farm.
Whoa.
And they let him.
Whoa. As a kid, did these things resonate with you?
No, definitely not. I would love to be like, absolutely.
I was definitely thinking about the horrors of war as a child. Yes, absolutely.
But I do think it was like stuff like that is able to like be a vestibule for children to then like just think more critically about, I think like any conflict.
Yeah.
To be like, oh, like, I don't know. Not that I think I was applying that frame of thinking to like the Canadian government.
Sure.
But like you're able to look at any kind of institution after that and be like, oh, well, like the Jedi isn't all good. You know what I mean?
It's complex.
Yeah.
Everything is made up of people.
My mom isn't all good.
Yeah. Gasp.
Oh my God, why did I go straight to that? You know, if my therapist were here, she'd be like, what was that?
Okay, back that up.
I love you, Mom, if you're listening. Te quiero mucho. Happy Hispanic Heritage Month. I think it is.
I think it is if you say it is. We're not going to argue with that.
Famously on like Latino Twitter, people like, no one knows. Like some people say it's September, some people say it's October, but yet this March rolls around. What am I seeing? Happy Latinx Heritage Month. So it really
honestly,
take them all.
I kind of get it. If there wasn't a big parade, I'd forget about Pride because, girl, I'm queer all year.
Oh, and me as well.
Yeah, right?
Ahsoka, queer coded.
Love
for real,
that.
Ahsoka, the talk about her being framed for terrorism, Barriss Ophi, her friend, her sister. Let me back up.
Love this.
What you have
Gay
to,
panic.
Gay panic.
Gay panic.
What you have to understand about Barriss Ophi is that her master was one of my favorite Jedi as a child named Master Luminara.
Okay.
And she was very fierce, kind of muted green skin,
Love it.
kind of tattoo on her chin.
Love it.
And she was shown in the Clone Wars. I remember being like, who's that? You know what I mean? You see a gorgeous woman, you're like, what's her deal?
Yeah.
The Clone Wars, we get a lot of her and her Padawan. Her Padawan turned evil.
Gasp.
Blew up a lot of stuff, blamed it on Ahsoka, and that betrayal, them fighting at the end is very. If you watch that battle, you watch that confrontation, they're les to each other. It's so, and it's very like, it's like the pain is deeper than a friend betraying a friend. It's like no, like we had something fierce.
Friends to enemies to lovers.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things in the world.
Getting real
Friends to enemies to lovers.
Buffy Faith fighting it out, you know.
Shira shit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And in one of the new live action Star Wars shows, what's it called? Oh, I'm forgetting.
There's so
Acolyte,
many.
The Acolyte. I don't know if
Okay,
you saw
yep.
it. It was fine. It was fine.
That's what I heard. It was fine.
It was fine, but there was gay in it as well.
I
As
do love
in
that.
Amanda Steinberg and the British Jedi, who kind of had a freaky character design. They had a gay thing, and then that girl dies.
Gasp.
And Amanda Steinberg.
Fridging.
And that show, talk about the Jedi being bad. That show is all about the Jedi secretly being bad. The Jedi in the Acolyte are the antagonists. Like the Jedi are the villains of the Acolyte. It's so, and that show takes place like hundreds of years before the Clone Wars. I think maybe thousands.
See, that again, it feels like good world building for things to not just be good and bad because it's just not the way any world logically works.
Totally.
You know?
I think,
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh, I think
They just locked eyes, and I literally saw sparks.
So it seems like Filoni really filled in a ton of plot that George Lucas was
Totally.
like, it's fine, no one cares, and it's like literally everyone cares.
Yes.
Someone fill this
He
in.
also made the conflict like feel important and like it mattered and like it was actually like sprawling and like it was really affecting all corners of the
It has
galaxy.
impact as opposed to just
Yeah.
being like, oh, these two guys are fighting. Guess they blew up this section of whatever. Like,
and you get to know the clones in a real intimate way. Like Commander Cody and Captain Rex come to mind. Those are like, if you're a Clone Wars fans, like Captain Rex is like your guy.
Yeah.
And he also had really cool, they introduced like cool characters design for clones in that, because before we just knew with like the stark white uniform, but no mama. They were like adding cool shit to their helmets. Like Captain Rex had like blue detailing and like a fin, two tiny little pistols. Like they were really like zhuzhing them up.
they like customize like girls who go to like private school and they like do up their uniform so they're unique.
I've never felt a more deeper connection to you than right now. That is it.
Okay, they just locked eyes. Now they're flirting.
We're flirting. That is so real. It's very. Do you remember that episode of That's So Raven where they got uniforms and then Raven really customized her uniform?
Of course she
To the
did.
point where it's like unrecognizable. That is
That
what
was
the clones
so
do.
Raven.
And then when they take off their uniforms, the clones, they have different looks. Like they have clones with face tattoos. Captain Rex had a bleached buzz cut.
What dope?
Eminem found dead. Eminem found dead.
Will the real Slim Shady please stand
Yes,
up?
with a cock in his mouth, by the way. Because he's gay, closeted.
Wouldn't be surprised.
But like all the clones, you'd see them all like hang out. And there'd be so many episodes just about clones. Like just about clones kind of on missions,
cool.
doing their thing.
That's neat.
And each of them would have like piercings and like, oh, it was kind of hot.
That is
It was kind of
very
hot.
fun.
Okay,
That's
how
very
does the
fun.
Bad
Turned
Batch
gay.
fit into this?
Well, it's a spin-off from the Clone Wars. The Bad Batch, there was like a couple of episodes with them. And it was just about them kind of being like the Bad Batch of clones that couldn't make it. And then, hello, what happens when you're charismatic? You get a spin-off.
Oh, love
And they
that.
but the Bad Batch is kind of bad, in my opinion. Actually, I should say, only saw season 1. I hear it gets better.
Okay.
So maybe I should
Well,
give
that's
it a
good.
chance.
Maybe it's a sort of similar to Clone
Yeah.
Wars. It picks up at some point. You know?
Hashtag it gets
So
better.
true. That's, oh.
That's totally what it's about.
That is what it's
Yeah.
I'm
about.
gonna say
that's
something.
it.
I don't know if it gets better. Sorry, if you're a queer child, listen. I'm gonna be real. It gets like fine later. It gets. Let's just say this. It gets manageable.
Yeah,
Let's say
it
that.
gets
Like it doesn't
manageable.
get better. It definitely gets like more.
Let's
You can
switch
metabolize it better.
Hashtag it gets different.
It gets that. Tweety starts saying it gets different.
It gets crow's
It gets
feet.
It
different.
gets crow's feet.
Okay.
None of us have crow's feet here.
No, we're all young
That's right.
babies.
we have
So
laugh
young.
lines.
We're young
Yeah.
babies.
That's why we're talking about this.
Someone told me there's a word in Mandarin for when you have laugh lines and it means that you're a good person.
That's nice.
Like it's a word of like they're like you describe it to be like, oh, they have a good heart because they're always laughing.
English is woefully lacking in
It's
things
so
like that.
sad.
Okay, here's a question. So while I love Leia and everything, it seems like Asoka was really the first female lead in the Star Wars universe. Do you think that Clone Wars sort of brought a lot more female talent to the front of the world?
This was in my notes. This was literally in my notes because like I think that's truly one of the reasons why I love Clone Wars so much is like you get so many stunning women.
Hell yeah.
And just like really like well-written female characters, not to sound like an infographic, but just like truly like Padme gets like multiple episode arcs where she's like doing bad like political intrigue and like espionage.
Sick.
Like, she gets to do cool shit because in the prequels she does not. She just kind of like sits around and she's like moping.
She looks pretty.
She looks pretty, and then we're supposed to believe she's like this high-powered senator, but we never see her do like anything.
She mostly is
Yeah.
just like, oh no, democracy.
democracy
And
can solve
that's kind of
crumbling,
it.
and it's like, well, then take to the streets.
Yeah.
You know
Do
what I mean?
something.
But in the prequels, or sorry, in the Clone Wars, you really get to see her do some cool stuff. Ahsoka definitely one of the first like cool, especially like younger like women
Yeah.
in that world. Bears Ophi as well. But I'm gonna talk about Asajj Ventress.
Okay.
Y'all know about her?
This?
No.
Okay,
Sith?
Sith.
Yes, okay.
Sith gay.
What?
I'm making everyone gay, but she is so queer coded. She was first introduced to me in the old prequel, the 2003 one that we were talking about. She has this one episode, and it's just like her fighting with Anakin, and she's the Sith. Her species is she's like a night sister who comes from these. It's like a planet of like witches. They're like force sensitive and like, but they're not Jedi. They're more like practicing like dark magic. And they're essentially these like women who are like humanoid aliens who are like bald, pale, like no hair,
Dope.
like crazy like face scars.
Dope,
And like
dope.
they're just like evil and like dark. But they're kind of like neutral evil. Like they have no political agenda. They're just like, we're kind of twisted.
Yeah.
And she is a Night Sister, but also has the Force. So she was like plucked, I think, from maybe to be a Jedi, but then like Count Dooku found her and she became Count Dooku's apprentice.
Fun.
She has 2 red lightsabers.
Oh,
That's her story.
cool.
Curved blades, so feminine,
What?
so chic. Her character, she has like this long skirt. And she's like bald and has like dark red like lips, like almost like oxblood red.
Oh my God,
And she is like a fierce, like there's different like styles of Jedi like warfare or like lightsaber battling, and her style is like insane. Like she's like thrashing, and if you play her in like Star Wars video games, it's insane what she does. But she's incredible in Clone Wars, and she becomes almost a bit of an anti-hero as the series progresses, because she starts off as just like, oh, this evil apprentice who's like, she's coming for Ahsoka, like we want Ahsoka to win. But in the later seasons, you better believe she becomes almost a good guy.
Well, because there's a rule of 2, right? With the Sith or whatever it is, isn't there like there can only be so many?
There can only be one. That's Highlander.
No, there can only be one. Yes, but
I think there can only be like one big
Like
guy,
one
big,
active,
big.
and then one
Yes.
coming up, right?
And then you all like serve. You all kind of
yeah.
serve.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love it.
And she was so stunning.
Oh,
Oh, I love her. Ah! And I had a Lego of her.
Ooh,
And she was
fun.
really stunning.
Very cool.
But she's incredible. You get to see like cool. Oh, I'm blanking. But there's so many more Jedi that you see, and even just like random, not even Jedi, just like there are episodes. There's one episode in one of the newer Clone Wars seasons where it's one of my favorite, because me and my friends joke it's the first time they included Latino people in the Star Wars universe, where there are these 2 women who just like are Hispanic, like they literally just have an accent. But I'm like, but you live in Star Wars, like we won't question it.
Yeah,
and
no.
like they're like mechanics, and Ahsoka just kind of like helps them, and that's the episode.
I love it.
And it's very much just like kind of sisterhood.
Great.
And
there's some bounty hunters too, right? That are some female bounty hunters.
Yes, I'm forgetting her name, but she's a legacy character. She has like the long ponytail. And she's also like pale bald. She's really cool. She's just straight up bad.
Love.
You don't want to mess with her.
Love.
And I think she's friends with like IG-88,
Okay.
the droid assassin.
Yeah. Oh, I love.
And Duchess Satine,
Yes.
iconic.
Yes.
And she's so fierce. She's definitely like more regal. She's not really fighting, but she's definitely being like, we have to stop them. That's her energy. But her sister, get twisted evil. She's part of Night Watch. She is I'm tweeting again. She's living on the moon with Jon Favreau, with the evil Mandalorians who always keep their helmet on, played by, in the live action, Katie Shakoff from Battlestar Galactica.
I love her.
And she's great, and that's like she's a great live action version of that
Yeah.
character.
Oh, man,
But
I
she's
love that
fierce,
character.
also a bit of an anti-hero, that character. She
Okay.
starts off as like just an antagonist, but then as the Clone Wars kind of reaches its end, we're almost like rooting for her.
Oh, see, I love this. It feels like I know that Star Wars is very Western coded.
Yes.
It feels like when Westerns got to be not like just the good guy, bad guy, but like got to
Yes.
have gray areas and
Yes.
stuff, like the
It's-
genre shifting into a
absolutely.
slightly more nuanced place.
Absolutely. Star Wars at its best is a perfect blend between Western and samurai film.
Yeah.
That's what it always has to be. Like
Yeah,
and
space Western in some
space
ways, yeah.
Western, and like in the Clone Wars, there's so many one-off episodes where it's following that like typical Western arc of like stranger enters the town. Like, there's
Yeah.
something weird going on. Let's uncover it, and like saving the people. And it's often like Ahsoka.
Yes.
And because the show started off with Anakin was like, it's like you're watching a show about Anakin and Obi-Wan and like their relationship. And then they really bailed on that, I'd say, by season 2. And then it became about like Anakin and Ahsoka's relationship. And then towards the end, especially the last season, like Ahsoka's the main character. And Ahsoka has some of the coolest Star Wars sequences I've ever seen in my life. And the final or maybe penultimate episode of the Clone Wars, there's the coolest Star Wars thing I've ever seen. It's literally Ahsoka. And I forget what planet. Maybe it's Kashyyyk, the Wookiee planet.
Yeah.
But I forget. Either way, she starts off on this big ship. And all these clones are like descending on this planet
Cool.
to like just save the day, like fight the droids. And she's like high up on the ship, and all the like clones are getting their jetpacks on. And Commander Rex is like, "All right, like meet you down there. Like you need a jetpack." And Ahsoka's like, "Nah, I'm good." She soars through the sky. She's like jumping from ship to ship, descending, killing trillions of droids on her way.
Cool.
Amazing.
That's
Like,
awesome.
I would say like just watch that scene, and you'd be crying crying.
I love this.
It's so good. And then you see Order 66 from her point of view.
Oh.
And it's so sad.
Oh.
Because she's like, why are my friends trying to kill me? Can you imagine
no,
that?
yeah.
Can you imagine? Picture this. You are literally hanging out with your friends.
Yes.
Everything's fine. You're like, I can go to the bathroom. You know what I mean? Don't wait up for me. Start the movie without me.
Yeah. I'll be right back.
They're watching a fish called Wanda, by the way, in the barracks of the Clone Wars.
There is
Not
no
Clone Wars.
pop culture we will not reference in the course of this episode.
And then you come back from the bathroom, your friends are trying to kill you.
Oh, that
But
would be bad.
Ahsoka then saves her friends because she like, I forget how, she like deprograms them in a way and saves Captain Rex and that whole platoon. And then they join us later in Star Wars Rebels as old men.
Ooh.
Because Ahsoka saves them.
Ugh.
I'm already attached to Rex, and I don't even know a single thing about
Rex is amazing. Gay, by the way.
him.
No, for real. He has, get this, bleached buzz cut, 2 earrings.
Oh,
Gay
yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Gay-coded.
Top.
Yeah, hanky in his pocket, or
Yes.
What is he flagging?
Every clone, if you look closely, has a hanky. I bet you look at one clone definitely maybe has like a hanky tied on his
Oh
neck.
my
'Cause
God,
they love-
hilarious.
You look at the Clone Wars, they all have their own thing.
Yeah.
Like some of them have mohawks, like some of them have like long
that's
hair and a
sick.
ponytail. Like
That's
they
very
really,
cool.
yeah, I love it.
Okay, so here's a question. This as you said was like the only animated. I know there was the film first, but this is the only like animated part of Star Wars. I don't know if that's still true.
There's more now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, thanks to the Clone Wars.
Right, but this was the major
This was like
one.
the main.
How do you think the animation element of things, like, did it add or change the storytelling at all? Do you think it helped or hurt it in terms of adding to the canon?
These are really good questions.
Thank you.
These are really, because I definitely say it helped.
Yeah.
It helped with the storytelling. Because I think with live action, you try to show like some cuckoo planet with like very like absurd looking aliens.
Yeah.
There's always going to be some level of like uncanniness to it. Even if you have like prosthetics, even if you have like the best CGI,
Yep.
it's always going to be like a big leap. And we're going to have to, it's going to have to be done like very, I don't know, like tastefully or like
Yeah.
muted to make it feel like grounded in a live action setting.
Yeah.
Whereas in animation, it's balls to the wall. You could literally do anything. And I
Yeah.
think that helped them in terms of like which planets they were allowed to show us, like different species of aliens.
Right.
Like, what's up, the flower planet? Felucia? That might not be it. I really hope it is called Felucia.
Let's say it is.
But there's like this like big flowery planet, and like in live action CGI, you see it in the third prequel during Order 66,
Yeah.
where like a Twi'lek Jedi gets killed. And you only get like a glimpse of that because of like the CGI must have been like cost trillions of dollars. Like,
Yeah,
it's
of course.
Like Alice in Wonderland
For, like,
level
2 shots.
green screens
Yeah.
for 2 shots.
Yeah.
But then in animation, you get to have like that whole planet explored.
Yeah.
And the animation style is very beautiful because it's like kind of paint strokes. So it's not like weird Pixar looking. It has like this depth and like richness to it.
Yeah.
Because I was watching a YouTube video actually a couple of nights ago because I knew we were going to talk about this, and I was reminded by like they literally, you look at Ahsoka's face and you could see like the strokes.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
like that's like their technique that they use.
That's
And-
really neat.
And it only got like more finessed over time. Like
Yeah.
towards the last season, you're like the animation is actually really stunning. Yeah.
That is a fun thing about watching animation shows, is that you can see the animation evolve over time. And
Totally.
it's just like it starts to look a little
Yeah.
different and like really smooth out. It's very cool.
And they have more fun with like the kind of rules they've established about the world, or like even like the color palettes and stuff. Like things get a bit darker, like brighter.
Neat.
Like, oh, I love.
Oh, that's very cool.
I love.
And like I imagine it really impacted to the like fight scenes and what they could do with that.
Oh my God, absolutely. For sure. Even just like what you would find believable in a fight. Like if I'm watching, I don't know, like what's his face? Hayden Christensen jumping
I'm sorry for you.
7,000 feet in the air. I'm going to be like, yeah, that looks stupid. But
Yeah.
like an animated character, like have them soaring through the sky, of course. Like Rosario Dawson can't be doing what Ahsoka is doing in like an animated show. It would just look insane. That's why I think people were a bit disappointed by the Ahsoka show.
Okay, and now's the moment. What did you think about the Ahsoka show as a Clone Wars fan?
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
As like a legacy piece, I wouldn't be like, it wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
And it wasn't what I wanted. But that said, the character, Ahsoka, in the time they're putting her in for the show, I'm like, yeah, like she's older. Like she's not going to be, because like Ahsoka's whole thing was like she was kind of this spunky, sassy,
Yeah.
like young adult.
I'm
You
not
know
gonna
what I
listen to
mean?
you, yeah.
Exactly. That's her thing. But now she's like the master. Like she's more like, she's very like calm. She's more self-assured. She's also like lived through, honey,
Some
2 huge wars. She's been,
Yeah.
I'll
She's
say it,
lost
a
her
child
friends.
soldier.
Yes.
Well, not
Yeah.
lost her friend, framed her for terrorism.
Well, that's a loss of a friend.
And that friend didn't die in 66. She went on to be an inquisitor.
Whoa.
Inquisitors are the evil Jedi that turned dark and they were hunting down Jedi.
Oh, that's not good.
It's
That's
very
bad news.
It's very queer on queer crime.
Yeah.
Yes. It's giving cops at Pride. It's giving cops at Pride. If you're an Inquisitor in the Star Wars universe, you're a cop at Pride. You're a first responder, and that goes for all first responders. You find out my politics are kind of muddled. That goes for fire
Paramedics?
fire people.
I see you.
Paramedics, I'm watching you. You're next, by the way.
Cancel.
All paramedics are bad? No.
APAB.
APAB.
We don't stand by this for the rest of
Different.
I see someone with an AFAB pin, I'm like, yeah, fuck firefighters.
They are all bad. You're right.
Thank you for your service.
Okay, I have a question because Disney and Star Wars has my number in that every single Star Wars property has a cute thing that they're going to want to merchandise for me specifically to buy.
Yes.
Is there a cute thing in Clone Wars? What's the cute thing? Who's cute?
Oh my God.
Who am I going to fall in love with and need an action figure of?
That is a good question. Oh my God.
Who's my entry point if I want a Grogu or a Porg?
As somebody who goes in straight from cute and nothing else.
I know what I am.
I'd say those are more common in a movie.
Okay.
I think they don't do the marketing stuff.
Grogu.
Oh, you got me.
I got you.
Me. You did.
My very own son, Grogu.
We love.
He's my child.
I don't know if there's a version. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I don't know if there is. I'd say like the cuteness you get, like the consistent cute story through line would be like your R2D2.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
I
guess.
love R2D2.
A standard
I mean,
cute.
when that boy, not to gender him because I don't know if it's ever been confirmed.
Well, he's blue, so.
Blue boy, yes, of course. When R2D2 goes, wow, when something crazy happens, when he goes, wow, because something crazy will happen, and he's like, you can tell he's a bit turned on.
Aw.
You know what I mean?
We
He's
love him.
wild.
And this is well-trodden comedic territory, but I love how his relationship with C-3PO is like,
Bert and Ernie.
well, he'll just kind of be like, bleep bloop, and C-3PO will be like, I cannot believe you just said that.
What is with you
that
right
is
now?
crazy. Like, he'll literally stop the room. Like, can I get everyone's attention? That is crazy what he just said. You don't know what he said?
Say it again, R2.
He
Say
just
it again.
said every single slur. He just said every single slur. Like, it's so crazy.
He's a potty mouth. He's
a potty mouth.
Just
Yeah.
talks like
He's
swears
a potty
constantly.
mouth. He's kind of a bit racist.
Yeah.
I'll say it. You translate what he
I
said.
get that vibe from him.
He's
It's
saying
just like,
weird stuff about Wookiees. He's saying weird
just-
stuff.
but the
an
Wookiees
edgy
look at him
comedian.
and they're like, "We're not threatened by
not
you. Like,
threatened by
you can't say it, but R2 can.
He can.
He's cool.
Yeah.
I think
It's just how he says it.
wow. I will say there is something cute that happens in one thing. There's probably more. But there's one episode where Asoka has to like save all these baby Jedi who got like captured, I think, or taken to like Mustafar or something.
The ones that Anakin later kills, baby Jedi.
I think those they probably grew up and then in a couple of years were killed later by him.
Okay.
For sure.
A different batch.
A different badge.
Of
I
baby
really do
Jedi.
think they took it too
The
far.
baby
with
badge.
that.
With the killing on the babies?
I think that's so crazy
Yeah,
that he
it's
does that.
like, I know they needed to make him Darth Vader, but did it have to be like that?
Even
That's
just from
crazy.
like a narrative standpoint, I'm like, I don't believe he would have gone from like, okay, I need to practice dark force magic
Yeah.
to save my wife, to them being like, well, now I have to kill
Yeah.
a bunch of kids.
Let's
I'm like,
start here.
I don't understand that.
Yeah. It's almost like it's not good writing.
It's almost like it's all good rating.
It's like it's not good writing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, the fact that it's being done by a guy with a little rat tail braid the
It-
whole
it-
time he's killing baby kids. It's just like, that's a different level.
To
on
be
it.
fair, his hair was longer by then.
Oh, was
but
it?
in a scary way where it was long curly, kind of in a
Oh,
way.
that's right. The
like a-
blowout.
Very blowout.
Oh, yes,
He
it
went to a dry bar, a blow bar. He went to a blow bar.
He just wanted to see how it would look.
Oh, that was so sad. Whenever he kills those kids, whenever I watch that movie and he kills the kids, I get so sad.
Yeah, okay, so this leads me to a question. Is it weird knowing, like, if you watch those movies first to go back and then be like, ah, yes, main character of Clone Wars, Anakin, the guy we know kills a
He
bunch of
plays with a
children.
bunch of kids in the first scene. He's like, I love kids.
Yeah.
I can't wait for kids.
Is that strange?
It is strange because you really got to like him a little bit.
Yeah.
And his relationship with Ahsoka is beautiful, but the darkness comes out.
Yeah.
In the kind of penultimate season, the last season, whenever he's around, it's Ahsoka kind of being like, hey, like, is everything okay? And he's like, I'm fine.
And you're like, oh,
You know
you're
what I
not
mean?
fine.
I was like, you're not fine.
Yeah,
It's like,
you're
you
going to
look-
be evil.
He's journaling a lot.
But his bangs.
His energy gets darker and it becomes sad because like then Ahsoka, like her relationship with him, it's so sad. And you know, oh my God, you both don't even know this, I think. Ahsoka didn't know for years
What?
that Anakin was Darth Vader.
What?
And in Star Wars Rebels, one of the the more recent animated shows, it came out like years after Clone Wars, also very good animated Star Wars show. Star Wars Rebels, very, very good.
Okay.
Very, very good. Older Ahsoka's in that, and she faces Darth Vader in a battle. And the whole time she's fighting Darth Vader, she's like, "You killed my master, Anakin." And it's like, "Honey, you're right," in a more of a metaphysical sense.
Oh dear.
In a more of a metaphysical sense.
But
Yeah.
if you can sense the hold on, I'm so sorry to interrupt. If you can sense the Force, wouldn't she be able to know by sensing his Force that that was Anakin?
One could maybe argue that like he's been so like warped and changed
Okay.
that like maybe she can sense it, but like that is a plot hole. I mean, like they should probably know. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like Obi-Wan can tell.
Yes.
I think for just writing purposes, they were like, how fun would it be? Because then, get this, they're fighting. Ahsoka slashes his mask. Part of it falls off.
Gasp.
They make eye contact as Anakin's eye meeting her eye, and that's when she knows. And it's
Oh
so
my God.
heartbreaking.
See, that's one of those
It's
things.
so sad.
That's one of those things where the emotional impact of that trumps the logic, and I'm fine.
Yes,
with that.
exactly.
Like plot holes don't matter when the emotion works.
I agree. Like I'm here for bad writing like that if the reward is so sweet.
the thing.
Like if it's like, oh, this is all in
yes.
service of this
Yeah,
moment.
it's not
Yeah.
even bad writing at that point. I think it's just making choices about what to do, and especially in a world that is this complex, I'd
Yes.
rather you make that tiny logical sacrifice for the bigger story
Yes.
impact. Like that to me is good writing.
And especially in Star Wars, some people with Star Wars love to make like rules about the Force or try to explain the
Yeah.
Force. And like, I hate it when that happens because like the Force is best when it's like not, you can't
Don't
like
look
interpret
directly
it.
at it.
Don't look, because like in the
Yes.
prequels, they were like, oh, it's like you have a certain amount of red blood cells.
Oh, yeah,
It's called like metachlorians. If you
Yeah.
have a certain amount of metachlorians in your blood. And now I think they're trying to veto that. And they're like, no, it's everything. And I prefer that.
Yeah.
I prefer that.
Well, it's more fun because like I
Yeah.
do find that sometimes in fantasy and sci-fi, learning a little bit about a magic feature can be fun, but if you try and actually like get down into the nitty-gritty of it, it just starts to feel too real and not fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's also like, I don't care.
Yeah.
It's fiction.
I'm like,
Let
it's
it
magic.
be fiction.
It's
Yeah.
magic.
Well, let it feel magical.
Yes.
Like too big to explain.
Like the famous character. Oh, I'm forgetting her name. Not Mon Mothma. That's a different character. Lupita Nyong'o's character.
Yes. Oh, what's her fucking name?
I forget her name.
I do love just Mothra, the completely different character.
Mon Mothra. I feel like I'm conflating so many names today, but
There's, to be fair, quite a lot of
there's
them.
so many names.
Yeah.
But her whole thing, she like is Force sensitive, and she's like, I'm like aware of the Force, but she can't like wield it.
Yeah.
And I like that because there's some even like alien species who like live on a more like Force dense planet where
Yeah.
they're not Jedi, but they're kind of like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
A little like if they were in this world, they would have like drum circles and like
Yes,
that's
and
the
they'd
energy.
be smoking weed.
Yeah, 100%.
Her name is Maz Kanata.
Maz Kanata. We love
We love
Maz
Her.
Kanata.
She's one of the cutes. Like I would say she's one of the cutes.
You think
She
she's a cute?
is.
I think she's a freaky little guy.
I will say, like, you hear, imagine this. Picture this.
Eyes closed.
Lupita
I'm in.
Nyong'o, fresh off the heels of her Oscar win.
Absolutely
12
stunning
years
beauty.
a slave.
Just-
wore a blue dress to the Oscars.
She did.
Stunning.
Stunning.
You
I'm
hear she's
seeing
going to
it.
be in a Star Wars movie. You're like, great.
Love.
Like, oh my God, they're going to give her like a sickening outfit.
Yeah, it's gonna be a
Hopefully she's like a
Padme,
Jedi or
an
maybe like a
Amidala.
Sith or like, yes,
Yep.
like something like cool. And then you watch it and you're like, oh, they CGI'd the most beautiful person in the world
Oh,
to make her
yeah.
an old orange woman. By the way?
Yeah, it's extremely
I'm like, it feels
disappointing.
like such a strange like choice for her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially considering black women rather, haven't existed in that universe until maybe a minute ago.
And
So,
that's how you choose to do
like,
it,
Julie,
eh?
I think Acolyte is like the first.
No.
I think the animated shows like might have had some black women characters,
Yeah.
but the Acolyte is the first show where I think like live action women of color were allowed to speak.
Whoa.
I think, yeah.
Oh, boy.
Big whoop. And correct, I might be wrong there, but it certainly feels right. You know what I mean?
Holy shit. Okay, this is actually a question from one of our patrons, Tyler Crone. How do you feel about so much new Star Wars content relying on watching Clone Wars to fully appreciate even the Solo movie?
I say then watch Clone Wars, bitch. Worst case scenario, you're watching Clone Wars. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Worst case, you're watching an amazing show. So I feel great about that. But I do think as kind of, I think like big franchises love to do that, where I think the MCU, that's why the MCU is tanking right now, is because like every property is like relying on you having watched the thing that came before, even like stuff that came out like 6 years ago.
It's starting to feel like homework.
It is, and what's so sad is like I'm a big nerd, so I do watch all of it. And I hate it. I hate it all, by the way, but I can't help myself.
But you must, because you must be down with the times.
I must be down with the times,
Yep.
and it's like even I, someone who should enjoy all this lore or like all this like characters interacting with each other like a movie from this and blah blah blah. The payoff is not exciting.
Yeah,
It's
you know what I
exhausting.
mean?
Like,
It's
I'm your
exhausting.
target audience and this isn't working.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think in Star Wars, it's much more rewarding.
Right,
I
yeah.
think when you're watching a let's say you're watching the live action Asoka show, it's a direct legacy sequel to Star Wars Rebels, another animated property. And that just, it's so good. But you don't have to watch it, I'd say. If you're curious, watch a YouTube video.
Okay.
But I think Star Wars is a lot better than the MCU with just kind of like letting you know the more pertinent things.
Yeah.
Like, they'll never be like, you'll never be left wondering like, oh, why is like Asoka talking to this guy? They'll be like, last time I saw you was when our friend died. You know what I mean? Like they really do keep you up to date.
Gotcha.
Right? Yeah.
Okay.
Incredible. Okay, I've got a little mini game for you. Okay, because we're going to give you a name of a character, and you tell us in 3 words.
Oh.
3 words.
Okay.
At
shit.
most.
At most. Thank
What
you.
they're like in the Clone Wars. Because obviously some of these characters we see throughout their
Yes.
lives. So you're going to give us a summary of what
Oh,
they're like in the
shit.
Clone Wars.
Okay.
Starting with the most obvious, Anakin Skywalker.
Oh, Clone Wars, sassy.
I love it.
I love it. Okay, Mace Windu.
Oh, very sassy.
I hope all of these are sassy.
Okay, Ahsoka.
Okay, you're gonna hate me. Sassy, savvy.
Oh.
A shift.
A shift. She is really piecing it all together. Detective.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Love.
for sure.
Savvy detective.
Sassy, savvy detective.
Okay.
Yes.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh, sassy, but in kind of like a bitchy British person.
Perfect.
Being like, oh, you wore that?
Sassy
What?
British bitch.
Bitch. Sassy British
Sassy British bitch. Padme Amidala.
Oh, assertive politician, tight ponytail.
That is a
of course
character type.
hyphenated.
Hyphenated.
You're right. Tight ponytail is absolutely an archetype.
Yes.
Absolutely. You're not wrong.
Very, and just like, it's like the tightness of her ponytail is meant to indicate like she has a very strong moral compass.
Yes.
You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Yep.
she knows what's right and wrong.
Rigid.
It's either
rigid.
very tight moral compass or very anal retentive.
Yes.
Those are the two
Yes.
things.
Yes.
You know, Lilith from
Absolutely.
Frasier.
Yes.
Darth Palpatine.
Ugly, busted, mean.
Yes.
Mean.
I love it.
Okay, Jabba the Hutt.
Oh, cute little baby. Cute Jabba the Hutt in the Clone Wars. He's just a cute little baby.
And he
my
has
God,
a
I
cute little baby in the
love
Clone Wars, yes?
He is cute baby.
There's a cute.
Because Jabba's just a little baby.
Oh, he's the baby in that one. Who's the bigger Hutt?
I think maybe his mama.
Oh, it's Mama Hutt. Very
Yeah.
cute.
Or maybe he's like teen. But they're different. They're episodes with the Hutts.
Oh,
They're
I
more.
love it.
Yeah.
Bounty Hunter Cad Bane.
Oh, hot Clint Eastwood.
Oh,
Because I think it was like
love
modeled after
this.
like Clint Eastwood or something.
Great.
All right, Mandalorian Lieutenant Bo-Katan Kryze.
Oh, hot. Times 3.
Hot, and the other words are times 3.
Okay, Captain Rex, leader of the 501st.
Oh my God. Those words, no.
Oh my God.
Very good. Just a great guy. Just great guy.
Just
love it.
great guy.
Yeah.
Duchess Satine.
Stunning, gorgeous jewelry. Truly, she's very cool. And the planet itself of Mandalore, sorry, the last thing I'll ever say about Mandalore. They were like, that planet was destroyed by the Jedi. You have to understand. So all their infrastructure are these like domes that they live in. So you look at the planet, it's like a barren wasteland with all these black domes.
Cool.
And inside the black domes are all these like buildings hanging from the ceiling from the side, and they're all like flying around. Stunning.
So cool.
World building.
So cool.
The legendary Jedi Master, Plo Koon.
Plo Koon. Oh! Very, very handsome gentlemen. Not really. More like they're stoic gentlemen.
Very stoic
Gentleman, I love.
Advanced Recon Commander Fives.
Oh, Fives, an iconic character. Fives. I think he dies.
I don't know.
I think he dies.
Oh no.
But epically, I'm sure.
There's darkness.
Darkness.
Someone's taken and then used as like a computer brain.
Gasp.
And they find him and they're like, no.
No.
It's really sad.
Australian.
No.
Sith Asajj Ventress.
Oh, my favorite Sith.
Yeah.
For sure. She's so cool.
Ah, cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there any last person that you want to shout out on this? Any like hot takes you need to put in the world? Anything you want to say about Clone Wars? This is your last moment. And then we can fill it in the newsletter.
Of course. I guess the last thing that I'll say is so much of what we love about the Star Wars live action properties now is a direct result of the Clone Wars.
Love.
Mandalorians, absolutely no one would have cared times a trillion. I think something that they also introduced in the Clone Wars that we didn't talk about that I wish I had brought up is how we get different Jedi or lightsaber colors that we never got before.
Oh.
And before we're saying green, blue,
Red.
Mace Windu gets purple, and then red if you're Sith.
Yeah, because he insisted on it when he got
Because
the
he's insisted on
And he's like, I will be purple, thank you so much.
I mean, they don't give that to anyone else.
Yeah.
But in the Clone Wars, Ahsoka Tano, this is huge, you guys. Once she leaves the Jedi Order, because it does not fuck with her moral compass, she's like, I believe in the power of protest, not being a fascist. She leaves, and her lightsabers turn from green to white when she gets
Hell
new,
yeah.
because she gets new lightsabers and they turn white, which means that you're the most purest Jedi.
Sick.
And if you're yellow, I think you're kind of pure also. And if you're white, it's your purest. And then if you're green, you're more kind of like, I believe in good versus evil. And if you're blue, you're more like, I'm a warrior.
Oh my God.
And Ahsoka's were white, and when it's very like Gandalf gray turning Gandalf white.
I love the mood ring theory of lightsabers.
Yes, it's so true. And I took a quiz once. Do you know what lightsaber I got?
What?
Red.
Oh.
Sith. But red doesn't always mean Sith. Because you could be red or orange and still be good.
Gasp. Did not know.
You could be orange and be good. I think red might mean you're bad, but sometimes not always.
Okay.
What color would you give Kyah?
Oh my God. Oh.
Follow your heart.
My first thought, green.
Oh, love. I love.
And I think you first thought blue. No.
Blue.
Back to green.
Okay.
I think you two would be green.
Love
Cheers.
it.
Kai, I see you with two lightsabers.
What fun.
And Ahsoka
Dual
had a very
wield.
unique lightsaber style where she held them back like this.
Oh,
like
cool.
Mag style.
Oh, like neat, like a knife kind of style.
Yes, yes.
Fun.
Very that.
Incredible.
Whoa.
At the end of every episode, we're going to share our micro fandoms of the week, which we're going to do in just a moment. But before we do, here are some fun ways you can connect in with us. As mentioned off the top, this show's always going to be free, but head on over to patreon.com/The Fandom Show and come join in on the fun. We share hot takes. We've got our nerds letter that comes out. That's all the supplemental material we did not get to cover in this episode and different references to things that we mention on here. Also, you can listen to the fan club. This month's episode was Raising Arizona.
Very fun.
Oh my God, if you have not seen this film,
Yep.
make sure you watch this film. It's
great.
freaking incredible. You can also follow us on social media at Fandom Show Pod. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. We're on YouTube now. So
Yep.
you can actually watch these episodes, watch our faces. You can watch Ben and Kyah just spark love with each other. That's all going to be online. So head on over. Please give us a subscribe over on YouTube. And please tell all your nerdiest friends about us. If you get a chance, give us a rate, review, subscribe on YouTube, on any of the podcast providers, though principally Apple Podcasts.
We read every single one of them.
We do. And every time we get a review, it brightens our day.
Makes
so
our day.
you could make our day just by giving us a couple little subscriptions.
You could also make your own day because we have merch. So you can head on over to tpublic.com/stores/The Fandom Show/ and snag our faces on your favorite things, shirts, mugs, more. I don't know. What's your favorite things? Put our faces on it.
You can also come join us over on the From Superheroes Discord. You can meet other fans or hit us up directly. We also go out there for getting questions for these episodes. So come on, join us on Discord.
Yeah, chat about it.
Also, our theme song is by Yusu Kim, and our logo is by John Blair.
And now we are going to do our micro fandoms for the week, starting with our guest. Ben, what are you fanning out about this week? What's making you happy?
Oh my God, maybe the new season of Taskmaster.
Yes, we love Taskmaster
I love
here.
Taskmaster.
Love.
It's so good. It genuinely brings me so much joy.
Yes.
And every beginning of a new season, I'm always like, I get mad because I miss the old crew. Like I miss the old gang. So it takes me a while to warm up. And it's so funny. By episode 3, I'm always like, listen, best cast. I'm like, oh, this is my family.
It's so true.
Emma Seedy, so funny.
I don't know them.
She's in the detective outfit for the new season.
Oh my God, fun.
She is so funny. It's a great season.
That's honestly why I can't really watch seasons back to back. I need a break between them because I
Yeah.
get too attached to a cast, and if I go back to back, then I'm just like, oh, they're not the old cast.
I love.
so I got to take breaks.
It's
They're
so
not
great.
Christopher Eccleston. It's David Tennant. Who is this David Tennant?
Yeah. But then
It
you
feels like
fall
the
in
Doctor
love.
every time.
Yeah, absolutely. That's delightful.
Kyah, what are you fanning out
Well,
about?
I also have a show that I love coming back. Baking Show is back.
Yes, great Canadian baking show.
That's right. The first episode has premiered. Our lovely
Alan.
Yes. Hi, Alan. Hi, Anne. You're looking as fashionable as ever.
Absolutely.
The bakers are lovely this year. We have one, I believe their name is Erica, that we are
yes.
absolutely standing. They are amazing.
They would be friends with all of us.
Really?
They're so cool.
I love my favorite type of person.
If you're listening, in the little like character description they do about them, when they're like, this person loves going to blank and doing blank. They brought their cat to a cafe with their friends, and I was like, friend, this is my
that's awesome.
friend.
I want to go to that cafe.
I want to hang out with this person.
Also good at baking. Like, of course I want you in my life.
Right.
My bestie.
So it's such a gentle, lovely show, and it makes me happy every time, except when I'm so stressed about the health of their cakes.
It does get stressful.
It's a lot sometimes. But besides that, I love it.
I feel like that's so much of the show, though. Guys.
It is.
Like, it's so hot in that tent.
Then they do so well and they love each other and they're all just so stoked
It's a
about
hero's
baking.
journey.
That's
It's a
right.
hero's journey.
Exactly. So that's what I've been really enjoying. It's fall again, baby. And Steph.
Okay, I recently became a cis straight man while watching Mr. McMahon, which is it's a Netflix series about Vince McMahon, who runs the WWE, formerly WWF, the World Wrestling Federation / entertainment, and this man is a larger-than-life cartoon of a human.
He's a weirdo.
He's a weirdo. He it's fascinating because all of this started where he was doing a documentary and they were filming all this footage just about his life that he was kind of like puppet mastering. And then you find out within the first couple seconds that he's under, he was arrested for sex trafficking and
God.
all sorts of various horrible crimes against primarily women. And so they're like, all of these interviews were recorded before he got arrested. So everything you're watching in a slightly different context,
But it's not even his 7th lawsuit at this point.
No.
The man has a crazy story.
He has a crazy story. It's absolutely
It's
fascinating.
like a modern day P.T. Barnum.
Truly.
But
yeah, he's the P.T.
not
Barnum of
greatest
wrestling.
showman P.T. Barnum.
No,
real life P.T. Barnum.
There's no stunning, never enough.
That's exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I learned that sex trafficking can also be if you're not paid enough for sex work. Or
Really?
even at all.
Interesting.
Can you believe?
I did not know that.
I know.
It's
Wow.
Anyways,
Every day's a school day, you know?
every day's a school day. You just learn.
I have one more fandom that I have to say.
Yes.
Traders Canada, the new season is so
Oh,
good.
really?
What my good friend Trana Wintour is on it.
Oh my
Trana-
gosh.
Trana's on it, and she is making Canadian reality TV gold right now.
What?
She had an iconic moment at the last round table where she said, "Everybody, please be quiet. I just saw something." And then proceeded to tell the table about kind of an interaction she saw where she was like, 2 men looked at each other as if to say, "Mission accomplished." And it's such an iconic monologue. And then she also cries while she writes someone's name down to banish them, but then puts the name upside down. She's crying. She's like, "I'm sorry."
Oh
and
my
everyone's
God.
like, "Upside down." She has to be like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And she fixed it. It's gold. It's a great season. It's a great season.
I cannot think of a person I've met in real life that would be better in reality television than Trina Wintour.
She's so good at that.
Incredible.
It's so good.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ben, for being here. Where can people find you? Anything you want to plug?
I would just love to plug being kind.
I
Just
love
kidding.
that.
Just kidding. I take that back. Being
Just
mean.
kidding. I'm going to promote being mean.
Being mean. No, you can just find me on any social media platform. Ben Sosa-Wright.
Ben
On
Sosa-Wright.
all platforms, I believe.
And you can also catch his episode of the New Wave of Stand Up on CBC
Do
Gem.
it. Do it. Do yourself a
No.
favor.
Check that out.
Treat yourself.
First step, find out what CBC Gem is. Step 2, download it. Step 3, realize the ads are too long.
And it's always the same ad. It's always the same
Over and
ad.
over and over
It's
again.
maddening.
Oh, Canada.
Thank you.
Canada.
Thank you so much, Ben. Until next time, love the things you love and tell everyone about them.
Bye.
Fanierism. Fanierism is actually really, really good.
Fandom Show.